You got Boimel trying to... What is it? It's Boimler.
It's Boimler. This is just like having Deneé do the synopsis. Captain's Pod, Stardate 1712-24.1. Welcome aboard the Starship Sinterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leave from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and sadly, the Ambassador is still being held by the Borg. And after days of unending torture, we're pretty sure the Borg are close to breaking point. Instead, the good news is that Sinfleet Command, has given me permission to pull an Acting Ensign out of the Jefferies Tubes. It's Jonathan Watkins.
Hello.
How does it feel to be back on the bridge and out of the tubes?
Good. It feels great. It's a lot less cramped.
You've been in there for so long. Are they clean yet?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, everything's shiny. I'm terrible, actually. I would be horrible at that because I guess they're glass or some material like that, and I cannot get glass like clear. Like I've never been. I'm not a Windex. Huh?
You think the Jefferies tubes are made of glass on the Sinterprise?
Not glass, but like they've got like a surface, like you'd have to like Windex or something. And,
I think it'd be a nightmare because like the stuff they crawl on is like grates. You need a toothbrush to get in between all of the grates.
Oh, that's true.
As well.
Grates. Yeah.
Well, when was the last time you joined us for an episode? Do you remember what we covered?
I don't remember if it was I don't remember if it was the Deep Space Nine episode, Little Green Men, or if it was the Lower Decks episode.
It was Little Green Men.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Because the only Lower Decks I've done was the 4th season premiere. So.
Well, yeah, we gave you about a week or two's notice that we needed a gap filled, and your first reaction was, "Cool, I can catch up on all of the Lower Decks." So how much have you watched in the last 24 hours?
Actually, I ended up watching more than I thought because I had watched at least the first 2 seasons. I'm pretty sure I'd watched some of the 3rd season too, but I just couldn't remember anything. So I basically went back. It was like the 3rd or 4th episode of the 2nd season, and then I watched all the way up to today. So, or this week. So, like 3 seasons, I guess, maybe worth. I mean, but they're short. You know, it's not like watching like 26-hour-long episodes like you would have had to with the original series.
Imagine if we were like in season 3 of TNG and was like, "Sorry, Johnson, you've got to catch up on 50 episodes."
No, I would have just relied on my memory for that. No. I've done crazy stuff like that. Like I remember when we did Rick and Morty on CinemaSins, I had never seen the show and we kept doing random episodes. We weren't just doing this, so I would watch every episode in between. And yeah, that was fun. So as long as they're 30 minutes, I don't mind. But when you get into the hours, it's a little rough.
That's a lot to cram into a day. Well, what's your overall like revisiting Lower Decks in that big chunk? What's your overall thoughts and feelings about about the whole show?
I like it a lot. I do think it's really good. I do think I don't know if this. I don't think it was just because I was watching a bunch. The second half of season 4 didn't really. I wasn't enjoying it as much. I mean, I didn't. I don't think I disliked any episode particularly, but some less than others. And then like you had that crazy reveal at the end of season 4 with it being, was it Nick Locarno?
Nick Locarno, yeah.
Yeah, and which I mean, I as somebody who knew who that was, it was cool, but I'm like, God, that's deep, man. Which that was supposed to be Robert Duncan McNeil's character on Voyager, right? And then they
apparently
had to
that's
change
a myth. So we talked about this at the end of season 4, and the whole thing is a myth. It wasn't a rights issue. They deliberately decided to make him a fresh character.
They thought it would be too confusing, something.
It absolutely would be too confusing. I think that that was it. They wanted to do that, but then whoever was like show running was like, Nick Locarno is irredeemable. Like he was going to his plan was to chuck everyone under the bus, cover up cover up the manslaughter of an Academy student. That's too much. Let's just make it Tom Paris. His crimes are a bit more vague rather than being a teen killer.
Yeah. Like
which is
they were Nick Locarno's like Tom Paris's evil twin. Yeah, like that makes more sense. Like I totally like the Michelle, like the Ensign Rowe, being the Major Cura character, like that makes sense because at least we knew who Ensign Rowe was.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a big tie in there.
I wonder if Michelle Forbes is just like, why did I?
Man, I don't. It's so hard to tell because like being typecast in the 90s was a genuine thing. Like, I mean, even in the 80s, people would turn down Doctor Who because they're like, man, people are just going to think I'm Doctor Who forever. But like Matt Smith, David Tennant, like they're doing great. They're doing fine. They have
now,
like
yeah, it's a
Doctor Who
lot
didn't
different.
kill their careers, but so now it's a lot different. Back then, it's so hard to know.
Yeah, but I mean, even those Star Trek series, I mean, not many of those actors have done much outside of doing conventions and stuff. I mean, you know,
Yeah, back then it was a lot harder, I think, to break
Alexander
out.
Siddig is actually kind of weirdly had a maybe one of the more.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done quite a bit.
Hmm.
Armin Shimmerman pops up and stuff, you know, but it's like I don't know. And then like next, even Patrick Stewart hasn't done like a ton
He's
of non.
Professor X. You shut your mouth.
Oh, God, I always forget that. Never mind. No, he's done a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart's done all right. But how do you feel about season 5 so far? Having been able to binge it all at once.
It's pretty good. I watched almost all of that this morning. I think I
Nice.
watched the first 2 episodes last night, like 3 this morning. No, I liked it. I think the last couple episodes have been pretty strong. I enjoyed the Klingon episode. Was that the
Hmm.
last one?
That was the one before last.
Okay. So the last wait, what was the last
Starbase
one?
80.
The last one was
Starbase
the
80 was the
doctor.
last one.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then there's also the one where they decided to have an episode focused on was it Doctor? What's the well, not Doctor? What's the bird character? Is it
Oh,
Milu?
Miggly Moo. We
Miggly
did
Moo,
not
yeah.
like that episode one
It was
bit.
okay.
We-
I just think it's one of those. It's a typical Star Trek last season where they feel like they have to give
Right?
like everybody. Like it's like we had to get a Morn episode on Deep Space Nine. That one turned out okay,
Who Mourns for
but
Morn is great.
yeah. But I mean, I'm just saying it's just kind of funny. Like
Yeah.
we would have been okay without that episode.
That was,
but it's
I
all right.
mean, that was the episode with the Klingons as well. So
Yeah.
we would have been fine with a full episode of Klingons on a farm without Miggly Moo does food reviews. Yeah, that was
And then-
basically our review as well.
Well, but even that Klingon episode, I don't know that we necessarily had to tie up Gaz or Maz. Is it Ma?
I think it's
was
Ma.
that the Klingon?
Yeah.
Ma tie up Ma's arc. I wasn't
Yeah.
really wondering what happened to him, but that's fine. I did like getting to see Starbase 80, and I liked how they changed how they kind of did it where the Cerritos was responsible for the mess. Not,
Yeah, that was a
not
fun twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that they had food courts. They had like food trucks instead of.
I love that. And the Akamarians being the random TNG pull for
And
the episode.
Yeah. The engineer keeps tricking them into fixing stuff.
I
Like
love
that was a really fun episode. Yeah. But no, it was fine. I mean, what was the first episode? I guess they had to tie up. Was that Mariner? God, I'm so confused. Was that where Mariner's duplicate? Was that this season?
Yeah, episode 1 was the duplicates, and getting Tendi back was episode 2.
Yeah, the Orion stuff's been pretty interesting.
Yeah, the Orion stuff was pretty fun. It definitely felt like how quickly do we get Tendi back as soon as possible, I think. And then episode 3 was with the massive dice that was chasing everybody.
Oh yeah,
And they get trapped inside it.
Yes. Yep. It's been pretty fun. I think it's been a step up from probably the last half of the 4th season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's where we've landed as well. We had a bit of a slump with 3 and 4. 5 was an improvement, definitely. But the reviews, like I haven't read any reviews, but the headlines that I've glanced past seem to think that episode 6 is a keeper. It's a really, really good one.
Cool. Well, I mean, I know at least one thing it references, which is bizarre. I mean, the stuff they keep like going back to, that's insane. Like, and I rewatched that Voyager episode that we did, and I completely forgot a lot of the stuff that was in that. It was just like, holy crap! Like, that still might be my favorite episode, though. I love when they just start going crazy and Tuvixing everybody.
Just that blob.
And then they just fix them. They're just like, oh, we're all better now.
Yeah. Transporters fixed it. It's fine. Yeah. I want to know what gets thrown at the wall that doesn't make it into an episode when they're just like, nah, that one's too obscure. I don't think that conversation has ever been had.
Oh, yeah.
In the writers'
They even
room.
had like Janeway's lover or whatever. That guy was
the Irish hologram. Yeah.
He kept like hitting on. Oh my god, I can't think of any of the characters' names. The main character, the main girl, Mariner. Thank you. And then you had all the clowns and all that stuff, so that was fun.
The clowns was wild as well. That's not a good episode of Voyager. Well, with that, this episode is called Of Gods and Angles, not Angels. It's definitely Angles. Any predictions before we head over to 10 Forward?
Well, I guess I know one thing, so I think it's kind of...
Don't predict that.
Yeah, I can't predict that. It was funny you said angels, and I know this isn't going to happen, but then I was like, man, that'd be hilarious if there's like an Angel 1 situation.
Oh my goodness.
They had an entire season basically based on like that had people from Samaritan Snare. So, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they threw in some like Angel One or some Up the Ladder or whatever that stupid episode
Up the
was
long
called.
ladder with the Irish settlers and the clones. I love that episode. It's so
God, I hope
bad.
we get I hope we get the Royale people at some point before the I don't know. There's so much as I want in the last 5 episodes of the show.
I want that. I want them to revisit the Royale. That would be incredible. I would love that. Our predictions from last week was that math would be important. that was it. That was pretty much our predictions.
I'm guessing that's probably true.
There's going to be some math and shit involved.
And there'll probably be some gods.
People get drunk on math, high on math. There we go. We'll go with that. Let's just dive straight in and head over to the holodeck. We'll see you all in 10 forward for a full debrief. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Most important question first, Acting Ensign Jonathan, what would you like from the replicator?
I always forget about this question, and I'd like to think of something other than Diet Dr. Pepper, but I can't.
Stay on brand. Just take Diet Dr. Pepper.
I'll take Diet Dr. Pepper.
Okay, question.
Or whatever the 23rd century version of that.
Whatever the synthahol version of Diet Dr. Pepper is.
I'm sorry. When does this show take place? Is it after Next Gen?
It's like 2382, 2383. So it's after Nemesis.
Okay, well that's right because they're Voyagers in a museum and stuff. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and Riker's on the Titan, so we know it's after Nemesis.
Yeah, I know it's not this episode, but when we found out that Mariner was back at school with in 4th season with the
lower decker, yeah, that dies.
Yeah, I was like, how old is she supposed to be then? Because like she was in school with Wesley.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So she was slightly older than everyone else, but she keeps getting demoted. But I think she was a freshman. And DeSoto was it DeSoto? What was her name?
I don't remember.
What's her name? Somebody in the live chat will say it. Anyway, the lower decker that ends up dying, I think she was a senior or something. I don't think they were in the same year. I think that's how they explained it away a little bit. They were a few years different.
Are you talking about the TNG episode of Lower Decks?
Yeah, the Ceto Jackson.
Yeah.
That's her name. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. My gosh, Wandering Winder to the rescue.
There's a lot of names to remember. Anyways, I'm sorry I got us off track. That has nothing to do with this episode, but that was a question I had when I was watching.
No, I love that.
The last few days.
She's slightly older than you would expect, but not as old as you might assume. I think that's...
But as much as if she's gotten demoted that many times, though, like promoted and demoted, obviously she's been around for a minute.
Yeah,
so.
That makes sense. I'm going to have one of those little reefs that you put around your head because I want everybody to ask me why I've got a reef around my head. No, you can have anything. We upgraded the replicators. You can now choose anything that you want. No, you can have... I may have said beverage, but you can have whatever you like.
Then I changed my mind. I will have 1 million bars of gold platinum.
Yes. Wait. No. No, you can't destabilize the economy of the Sinterprise. Not that easy.
Oh, shoot.
Give us a synopsis, Jonathan, since the ambassador isn't here. Synopsisize the episode for us. Yeah, put you on the spot.
I don't remember who is Zeus. So there's a new ensign that we're following. What's her name?
Ensign Ollie.
Ollie.
Yeah.
We meet her at the beginning, and she's Mariner. She apparently has been on. This is her 6th ship, I think.
Sounds right.
She keeps getting moved around. So Mariner, because Mariner's new thing this season is that she's going to help people and be a changed person, which I'm kind of neither here nor there with.
She's full Starfleet now. She's a good girl.
Yeah, she's 4 Starfleet. So she's gonna help her prove that she deserves to be on this ship and all this stuff. Then we soon find out that Ollie is she the daughter?
Granddaughter of Zeus. Yeah.
Of the person who said they were Zeus on the original series episode. It's 2nd season. I think it's actually like the 2nd episode of 2nd season. It's called Who Mourns for Adonis? Is that right?
I think it's the first appearance of Chekhov. I think.
That might be right. I don't know. Is he not in Amok Time? I can't remember.
He's not in season 1. No, he's in...
Amok Time is the...
Yeah, I don't think he is.
I don't think he is either.
I don't think he is. And I just remember him being really creepy. Because Who Mourns for Adonis, weirdly, is a random 2S episode that we have covered. So this would have been perfect for Deneé to be here. A rare TOS reference that she would have understood.
If she remembered, yes.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
So anyway, so they're doing their thing, and there's these 2 there's these two races on the ship that they are trying to work a treaty with, and one of them are cubes and one of them are orbs, right?
Yeah,
Cubes and
orbs.
orbs.
Yeah, because spheres is too hard to say, I think.
Sphere, yeah. Then we have so that's going on, and then we have and then that's going on, and then what ends up happening, the conflict, I guess, is that one of the spheres ends up missing, and then one of the cubes ends up missing, and they think that each other has killed their kids or whatever. And then on the other thing, the B plot, you got Boimler trying to.
This is just
what
like
is it?
having
It's Boimler.
It's Boimler. This is just like having
Boimler.
Deneé do the synopsis. She doesn't get any of the names right either.
I don't know why I'm so bad with the names, especially with as many episodes I've watched recently. Boimler is really wanting, because of his alternate or his other universe guy who's cooler than him. He thinks he's really good friends with that universe's Doctor. I don't remember her name.
I'm not going to help you. Make it up.
Okay, Dr. Cat.
Dr. Tana.
Tiff. Tana, yeah.
Yeah.
And then and so he thinks he should be friends with his universes, and he's trying to get her to give him a nickname and all this other stuff, and he just ends up pissing her off, but then that all ends up working out because he gets a lightning bolt stuck up his ass.
He
and,
sure does.
He has to remove it, and so they're friends all of a sudden.
I think that would make you friends with someone. I would be indebted to anybody that did that.
Yeah, and then when the main plot wraps up, you find out that the two kids that were missing are actually Romeo and Julietting it up. And not only that, but they actually have a cube sphere kid now. And I'm very that's going to come up, and I'm very confused about the biology going on here. But
yeah,
well, and the timetable as well. So that ends up happening, and then they all come together. There's also like a big battle between the cube and the sphere at one point because before they find out the truth. And then the Cerritos ends up bringing peace, I guess, and everybody's happy. And now we have 4 episodes left.
Big old happy ending. Amazing synopsis. It was very off-brand. Deneé's synopsis is usually not a synopsis at all. So that was very uncomfortable for me to hear you succinctly talk about the episode. Overall thoughts and feelings, Jonathan. Did you like the episode before we get into details? How did it hit you?
I liked it overall. I thought it was, I mean, it's always weird when you're watching a final season, especially when they only have 10 episodes. You're just like, we're introducing a new character.
Well, and interestingly, they didn't know this was going to be their last season when they wrote these episodes.
They didn't?
No, it's only episode 10 that they have been able to rework. So this is all as it would have been were they having 7 seasons.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that. So yeah, but regardless, I mean, you're watching it, but yeah, so I know they didn't do that intentionally or anything. They still might have done that anyways. But
exactly,
you got stuff like that. But I mean, that's not. I mean, that this is the story they're choosing to tell. I think it's one of the better episodes this season.
Yeah.
It was very enjoyable. Like both the A plot and the B plot worked, which that doesn't always happen. So overall, I liked it.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I really enjoyed this one. I loved the pacing. I thought the visuals were incredible. I love that space battle at the end. I think it was gorgeous. The humor hit me. The callback to like making the A plot such an integral callback to Who Mourns for Adonis is so fun. I really like that. The B plot I could probably take or leave. It's Boimler doing the same old Boimler stuff, but they kind of acknowledge that. Like Tendi is like, what's going on with Boimler? And Rutherford's just like, yeah, the usual. So I'm just like, this is the usual. Like, I don't know. It was, if there was anything,
it doesn't
that was
really
a
make
little
any
bit,
sense why she likes him any better at the end. Like they don't, even in this goofy universe, they don't really make it make sense.
I don't know why that
and
leads
then Rutherford
to book
is
club.
On Boimler's side all of a sudden. He's like, oh, you got to teach me how to do this.
That and Tendi reacting so negatively to that. It's like, that's not the lesson. That's not what we're supposed to learn here. That I did enjoy. But overall, yeah, the B plot, I'm like, okay, cool. Boimler does more Boimler things. But the A plot was a lot of fun. And I like this is an interesting thing to do with Mariner, in my opinion.
I agree.
She's turned a corner. Now give her a version of herself to mentor. I like that. This could have been like an episode 1 thing for me. I wouldn't object to Ollie being there more and being like in a couple more episodes, but as soon as I said that, I realized we don't have enough T'Lyn, so we need anything that gets Tillin more screen time would be the
No,
best.
she might be my favorite actor. Or not, yeah, I mean, she might be.
She's up there. She's
She was
so
welcome
funny.
addition.
Yeah,
I
she's
like.
really
She's
great.
a unique take on Vulcans, I think, because she's not. I don't. She's full Vulcan, right?
Yeah, she's full Vulcan. She's just like philosophically more interested in being diverse rather than just Vulcan is best, logic is the way.
I'm just impressed that I know she's not really part of this episode, but I'm just impressed they could make a different like Vulcan character after all these years and all the Vulcans we've had and all the storylines. I thought that's one of the more impressive things about this series, actually.
It really is. Yeah, I completely agree. Give me some standout moments. What did you like from the A plot with the orbs and cubes at war?
I just thought I thought it kind of played. I mean, there was a lot of, especially TNG. There's a lot of DS9. I mean, all the series have had these episodes where you've got these two factions that are trying to sign a peace treaty with each other or whatever. And so I liked the lower decks kind of play on that, especially making them cubes and spheres. And
it's so arbitrary, isn't it? It's perfect.
Yeah, and I did not tire of all the all the comments about trimming the edges off and.
The names were like the names of each other. Sexodus.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, no. That actually makes sense because there are 6 sides. Like that's really, really clever. And on like when they're trying to de-square and de-orb the ship, that cold open where Ollie is loading everything onto like the anti-grav thing, you've got Worf's chair in there, which is freaking genius because that's a chair full of circles. So of course that's on there. There's a roulette table on there as well. Just removing anything circular was hilarious. It's so funny to me.
Yeah, the stupid ball chair.
I cannot imagine that being comfortable. That should be off the ship anyway.
Yeah, so I thought all that stuff was fun. Yeah, I liked the Captain Rutherford, like Captain Mariner walking. Well, that's not her name. Wait.
Freeman.
Captain Freeman. Freeman's her
You
last
just
name.
slipped into an alternate universe with Captain Rutherford and Captain Mariner.
That's true. Yeah, there was an episode where there was a Captain Mariner. Captain Freeman walking like, how do we get rid of the edges on it? There's edges all over the
Starship. Do you know how hard that is? That's so great, and it's what Star Trek does best as well. It's the allegory stuff. Like the things that make us different are so like they don't matter, and they get in the way of such things. Like it's just no one actually cares whether you're a cube or an orb, but that's the thing that they're digging into, and that's their tribe, and that's the difference they have to overcome. So it's fun to reduce that down to its most basic thing. I mean, TOS did it a little bit clumsily with the aliens that are like half white, half black, and then the other side are inverted. So it's a similar sort of thing, but just a little less heavy-handed than that one.
Well, I mean, in the 60s, I think that was probably a little more subtle maybe in the 60s. I don't know, maybe
perhaps.
not.
I mean, perhaps. And maybe you need to be a bit more heavy-handed in the 60s with everything that's going on back then.
For sure.
What? So always love a diplomacy episode as well. We quickly figure out that a murder has been done. I've got to say, I was a little bit disappointed that the murder didn't get a reference. I guess if it was a murder, this would have made more sense. But I was hoping for like the transporting bullet reference from Deep Space Nine, where Esri is trying to solve a murder, and it's a special transporter gun that can see through decks and beam the bullet into the victim. I would have absolutely loved that.
They do mention Dixon Hill though. So
Dixon Hill gets a shout out. That's like the 3rd or 4th time that Dixon Hill has been mentioned as well. So somebody really likes that. I did enjoy that Ollie she lists like the most obvious murder tropes. It's like, oh, I know what happened. The orb did it. Wait, no, it was a cube all along, but it was disguised as an orb. Like, just to get that speculation out of your brain, like she lists off the really obvious things. I think that was good to like be like, okay, now I can wonder like what else is going on here rather than the obvious murder tropes.
And they did good cop, bad cop. Well, she makes it a good cop, bad cop thing. I don't think that was the intention on Mariner's part, but
nope.
I wonder how. Well, we'll get into that when we talk about the Suns.
Yes. How did Mariner having a mentee hit you? Like, did you like that direction for Mariner?
Oh no, I mean it's fine. I mean it's I mean I think it makes sense. I mean, like you said, I mean with the Boimler stuff, it was just kind of typical. Like there's no growth there, or at least not with that subplot. Whereas with Mariner, there's actually like they're trying to kind of do a character arc with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've done a pretty good job because I mean, this is only the 44th episode or whatever, 46th episode, maybe 45th,
Yeah,
something like
46.
that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they've gradually kind of gotten her, especially with that stuff they did last season with her and Ransom finally getting her to realize that he's not going to demote her. And, I mean, that was actually kind of an interesting thing. I think Mariner's been one of the more depth, like characters with the most depth, at least, or at least that they've, which I guess she is kind of the main character. So that probably.
I agree. I've really pushed this quite hard that I think this is Mariner's TV show way more than it is Boimler's. Like this is Mariner's
I think
story.
It started off his, but I think it's definitely the writers or whoever have just decided they can do a lot more with Mariner, which I think was the right choice. I mean, it's weird to say that with an animated because we're not really talking about. I mean, there is acting, but it's not like either voice actor is better than the other. It's just the Mariner character is a little more interesting. I think the way they've developed her. I love Boimler, but he does seem more like a supporting character now.
Yeah, completely. And Mariner's got that history of having been in Starfleet a lot longer. So it's fun to see her actually take some like positive next steps and stay as a lieutenant.
I still, though, like one of the biggest sins of this series is I just can't figure out how she's allowed to work with her mom being the captain. Like that just makes no sense to me. Like I don't think there's
so many conflicts of interest.
I can't imagine. I don't know, but maybe Starfleet would be they know this will totally work. But
because someone knows about it. Like she's hiding like in name only. Like Starfleet
she even calls her mom
knows.
on the bridge now. Like they
oh yeah, because this I guess she still held like some kind of pretense, but yeah, she's pretty out and out with it. Anything else from the episode that you wanted to shout out?
No, I mean I don't like we talked about. Yeah, I mean the B plot was still kind of funny just because I mean it's hard not to laugh at some of that. I loved when Boimler decided to start cursing at her because he thought she would like that, and then she flipped out. And
yes.
I mean, that's pretty predictable, but it was still kind of funny. Just
bleeps. I don't know. I can be so low hanging fruit with humor sometimes. Like slapstick gets me, and like censoring beeps get me. Like more than swearing itself, having the beeps come in.
Oh, I agree.
Kills me. No. Like not hearing it is so much funny than if we'd actually heard all of the swears, which they can totally put in the show. They fuck all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's like CinemaSins. I mean, or when they started CinemaSins, that's Jeremy and Chris. I mean, they didn't have to bleep the F's, the fucks and shits, but they thought it was funnier if they did. And I agree. I think it is.
I completely agree. Especially when you can't even get the word out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, I guess the B plot, it was funny for me. I did enjoy it. I just don't think it's necessary. Like it felt really, really unnecessary. I will tell you the bit that did make me laugh is the fact that, and I was really relieved that this didn't become a thing, but that Rutherford and Tendi already know that he has the pad and he's studying it. Like, I really didn't want that to be a contrived secret that gets exposed at some point. And for me, it's so funny that he's just like, oh, yeah, you found the pad. It's like, yeah, the beveled edge is like a quarter of an inch different. Like, yeah, and it's also red. It's like, oh, yeah, it's red. It's so perfect to marry that up with Tendi spotting the same thing and just how Rutherford and Tendi are twins. Like, there was a will they, won't they kind of thing, but they have such a great platonic relationship.
Oh yeah,
that
like
is
brother,
like,
almost brother sister or something. And,
yeah, absolutely.
Well, probably not even that because they don't fight enough. But yeah,
they get on better than that. Yeah, I really liked that. And I guess they have to keep tying back into the Boimler goal of becoming like his alternate self. It still feels like a season 1 Boimler thing and a season 2 Boimler thing. Like he really feels like he's spinning his wheels. I don't know.
Yeah, and they've had moments where he got promoted at one point and he seems like he's liked more or he's proved himself, but then he'll do something like this. So it's like kind of like this would have made a lot more sense, I think, in season 1. Like this would have made way more sense in season 1 than it does now. Like because you feel like the crew respects him for the most part. So or enough of them do to where why would he care that the doctor doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. And the last couple of episodes,
they even say you're in the bear, you're in...
Yeah, you're in Shanks's bear club.
Yeah. So,
but
I mean...
Shanks doesn't have a book club. That's apparently more important.
He just wants everyone to like him.
The last couple of episodes, he's been embracing I'm going to be more carefree and more like taking risks. And that I was like, okay, that I can buy. That makes sense. This feels like a little bit of a step backwards for him. But I will say I did like the tying into Who Mourns for Adonis and how Ollie has to deal with what would it be like, because it's very clear in Who Mourns for Adonis that he was, and the gods in general, were screwing around quite a lot. They were taking human mates, so it's interesting to see how an offspring made their way into Starfleet and what that looks like. So it's an interesting subplot to follow. That was really smart.
Yeah, and I think it's probably better handled on a show like this versus like something more serious or more.
Yes.
I think this is the Star Trek show to do that with. Kind of like how the Gorn stuff on Strange New Worlds felt a little odd at times. Like, I think that would have worked. That's a whole other thing. But
no, I agree. It does feel that is a whole other conversation.
Like, so I like that Lower Decks plays around. With only Lower Decks can make the Pac-Leds a villain, like a threat. None of the other shows could have done that. Not with their tones. You could have a live action, more comedic Star Trek show for sure.
They're going to.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, there's a live action show that's written by the person that voices Mariner, Tawny Newsome, and it's going to be set on a Ricer-like planet. And it's basically pitched as a comedy.
So it's going to be like a sitcom?
Yeah, it's going to be like a sitcom on a pleasure planet that has to deal with the issues of being an alien pleasure planet. So yeah, I love that idea. But we do digress. But yeah, you're right. I think Lower Decks is the perfect place to explore these what ifs. It is like Marvel what if, but still in canon and without bending too much. So yeah, it's the perfect little bed to do all of that.
Exactly.
Any references that you caught before we move on to some scenes? Anything that stood out reference-wise to you that you're like, oh, that's really cool?
I think we mentioned most of them. I mean, we mentioned the Dixon Hill. Obviously, Who Mourns for Adonis. Worf's chair. I can't think of anything we haven't mentioned. Did you have anything else?
Yeah, the deepest one, and I'm not going to lie, I had to Google this. Like I think the rest of the internet probably did, but Boimler shouts out Ronald B. Moore.
Oh yeah, wasn't that just a play on Ronald D. Moore?
No, that's what I thought as well. But I googled it just in case, and you're not gonna. This is insanity that only Lower Decks can do. So Boimler, the context is like, oh, I thought you like practicing your stand-up routine like Ronald B. Moore. Ronald B. Moore, the human being, is a visual effects person that was like big in like TNG and Voyager and the movies. He did like a lot of the holodeck episodes. I think he had something to do with the Borg as well.
Wow. There was a B. Moore and a D. Moore?
There was a Ronald D. Moore writing, but before him, there was Ronald B. Moore doing visual effects, which is...
I didn't know that.
Crazy. But the reference itself... Do you remember the episode where Data is learning to do stand-up on the holodeck?
Oh, yeah. Is that the one with Joe Piscopo's? Yeah.
The character he's playing is called Ronald B. Moore.
Oh.
So he's a comedian called Ronald B. Moore in honor of Ronald B. Moore, the visual effects.
Yeah, is that the B plot in Outrageous O'Connor?
Yeah, great memory. That's the B plot for that. And
yeah, I remember that, but not Ronald B. Moore. But no. And if I knew, maybe I knew there was a Ronald B. Moore and I just had forgotten.
I couldn't like I can picture the comedian. And like buried in my mind, I knew the comedian's like real life name, but I couldn't remember the comedian that Data summoned. And just that's an awesome reference. That's really cool. One. Yeah, that's a really, really great pull. And I just, again, it brings up questions how Boimler knows this shit, but I guess he's a famous comedian, more famous than I gave him credit for in the TNG.
Yeah, I think, they always know like these. I mean, even Mariner knows a lot of stuff, and you're just kind of like, why would she even have that information? Like, why did she care enough to have that information and stuff? So.
Yeah, I guess she is a nerd. She just acts cooler, I think.
Yeah.
The one other thing I wanted to mention was that I really liked the animation of the space battle at the end when the orbs go crazy. They turn into the giant orb and the giant cube, and Ransom's like, they're turning into a giant shape. Oh, it's just a large cube and a large orb. Turns out they have no imagination. But the laser beams and like the panning around the Cerritos as the fight happens, I once again love how the show is animated.
I do too. I don't know, because especially watching a bulk of it in a few days, I really like. It's got a unique like color scheme to it. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know enough about animation, like specifics, but like even like little things, like when they're in engineering, like the light, the colors when the I guess the lights are reflecting off the warp core and all that
Hmm.
stuff. Like it changes the color on the character's face
Yeah.
constantly. Like they do like really like little things like that. Like they keep, and that's interesting to me because I don't think most shows would do that.
No,
Uh,
I
the,
love it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think they put a
So
lot of attention to detail into it. It's fun
they
to
do.
see how like
Yeah.
it's evolved over the seasons as well and like improved in quality. But yeah, love that. I'm a sucker for a good space battle, and that was a really really fun one.
Yeah, and they take advantage of the fact that they're animated and they can kind of do, whatever they want. So that's always cool too.
Yeah, you
Um,
can have like the crazy
because
aliens.
you could really have spheres and cubes fighting and like on TNG. I
Yeah,
mean, it would look bad. You could, but
but I think when you have that in live action, it looks ridiculous. That's why they always
that's
saved.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they always saved that reveal for the end. Like the humanoid thing would always turn into a ball of light at the very end. It was like, oh yeah,
Oh
that makes sense. You
yeah.
couldn't have had a conversation with a ball of light the entire time.
No.
Yeah, I mean, a pretty plot light episode, to be honest. Like, we didn't get any mentions of like the tearing that's happening in space, the wormholes that are opening up that they have to go and fix. They didn't mention any of that this week.
No.
Did you have any theories, having watched it all back to back? Is there anything that's springing to mind about what you think the
No,
wormholes
I
are?
really well, no, because I mean that's like, in season 4, I never would have guessed it was, Nick
Yeah.
was the big bad, nor did they give you even a hint that it could be.
No.
So I assume that's what's going to happen here. It's going to be some random. It's going to be like, I don't know, like some like fistful of datas is going to factor in or something.
That would
I
be
got nothing.
amazing. Just pick a really. It's got to be something massively obscure. I'm updating my prediction that it's going to be Nagilum from Where Silence Has Lease.
Oh my god.
Then that's a season. I think that's
Oh my
season
god.
one.
I mean, that would be something they would do.
It would be incredible because like Nagilum was a face in a nebula basically and would play tricks on
That's
everybody.
a bad episode.
Yeah, that's a wild episode. And eventually, I think they're trying to convince everybody to kill themselves, and Picard refuses. Something like that. Anyway,
Yeah,
Nagilum would be.
that's been a long time because that's season 2, right?
I thought it was season 1, but I'm being reliably told it's season 2. It feels
Yeah, it's
like a
season
season
2.
1 episode.
It's one of the early episodes of season. It might even be like the second episode of season 2.
Yeah, it's very early, but it's kind of it's definitely a weird episode. But it would be Nagilum would be just one of those incredible pulls that Lower Decks would come up with, and I'm saying
Yeah.
it now because I will look godlike if it ends up being Nagilum in episode 10.
Oh my god. No, I mean I hope it is. That would be great
It'd
if
be
it was
amazing.
like somebody like that, or it's Okana.
Well, O'Connor has come up twice now.
Yeah,
O'Connor has
come up
appeared
at
in
least
Lower
a
Decks
couple
and in
times.
Prodigy, which is weird because in Prodigy, I think he looks older than he does in Lower Decks, even though they're in a similar timeline.
I don't remember what episode it was this season 2 where they had that random thing where the girl, though, she was like they had been in a month of hell. They were talking to those people,
Yes, they're on
and
the
they were
Endeavor
like
or something.
only a month.
Yeah, only a month. That's the Intrepid class that got shrunk down to live inside the cube. Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
No, Nagila makes perfect sense. I was just trying to think of something because they do a lot of TNG. I was trying to think of something that could be from one of the other series, but I have no idea. Nagilam's as good a guess as any. Or the Traveler, but the Traveler would be too. I don't think they would do that.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of, the Traveler's actually kind of respected in a way. Like I think that's a pretty reasonable storyline that people like. Nagilam's like the Howard the Duck.
Yes, exactly. And that's what Lower Decks does so well. It pulls out the derided stuff and gives it new life.
Right.
It's going to be Nagilum. I'm calling it now. All right. With that, before we head into some sinning, give us some pips. How many pips out of 4 are you giving this episode? And we can do half pips.
You can do half?
Yes, we can.
Out of 4, I'd still probably just do 3, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. 3 pips.
Yeah.
I was solidly entertained.
I think it's solid.
Yeah, there's just not much to talk about really plot wise, other than Mariner being a bit more of a mentor thing. But
I mean, I might go up to like
fun.
3.25, but I can't quite get to half.
I said halves, not quarters, Jonathan.
I know.
That's insane. You can't do quarter pips. That's ridiculous. Okay.
That would be ridiculous.
With that, let's head over to engineering to do some sins.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
Red alarm. Red alarm.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. Guests may go first.
I might be talking out of my ass, but how are, like, I've always wondered this with Borg cubes too. How are cubes aerodynamic? Like, I don't understand how that. I just, that makes, like, that's like the worst design.
My answer would be things don't need to be aerodynamic in space
I guess.
because
And
there's
this
no
is
air.
this is a like a this is like a bean. It's not a ship, but
Yeah.
it just that same thing dragged. But I will say that was kind of a joke. But I'm confused. I always get confused, like how, like, I can't ever figure out exactly how serious the Cerritos is treated within the Federation, because a lot of the time they're like, they give us the worst jobs, but then they're negotiating
Yeah.
like a peace treaty between two species. Like, that seems like a pretty important job for.
This doesn't feel like Second Contact. This is like important, a galactic war, basically.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, especially when it comes, so either A, there'd be other ships there too, but like, I just don't know. So like,
Didn't seem
I
like
just get
it.
confused. Like, I understand sometimes they get themselves involved in situations that they
Yes.
weren't supposed to, but something like this, I'm just like, why was the Cerritos even assigned this? But I don't know.
I mean, they don't even try to explain it. I mean, the TV show answer is we need fun things for the Cerritos to do, but the in-universe answer isn't given. Like, this does seem way too important. And if anything, if you grade them differently, like, these aliens, you're in danger of offending them, because it's like, oh, we're not good enough for the Enterprise to come and debate our argument that we're having. You sent the California class to look after us. Like, you got to be pretty diplomatic with who you're sending on these missions. So yeah, I'm completely with you on that. I might be talking out of my ass with this one, but Ollie said that she was Freeman said that Ollie's most recent ship was a whole crew of former Maquis. That seems like a bad idea.
Yes, it does.
I don't
very much.
I mean, maybe that's prejudiced. Maybe that's not fair because it's been a while, but it's only been a few years. Hasn't been that long.
It seems like something the Federation wouldn't do. I mean, if you especially consider, like, if this is all canon, like,
which it is,
you know, they treated 7 of 9 like crap when she got back.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I guess the former Maquis members were treated okay, but I don't know. I don't buy that. Yeah, I don't buy that the Federation would have.
Yeah.
Not an entire ship.
And there's no need for it. Like, there's no need.
Yeah, that too.
Like, no one's asking for that unless they're having a specific mission which is, like, based on helping Bajoran refugees or something, or, like, reuniting Bajorans with Bajor. Like, they would have to have such a specific mission. But then how did Ollie get on the ship? Because she's not Maquis. So
no.
It's a ship full of Maquis plus a demigod. Like, how she ended up on that ship. Like, there's an entire, like, sub-series there that needs a proper explanation. But again, the idea, it's a throwaway joke. But when you do a throwaway joke, I'm going to be asking questions about what that actually means in the universe.
Because that's one of the biggest issues. I mean, Voyager just kind of got around that really quick because they finally just, we're not going to bother with explaining how these people work together and all
after
this stuff.
Episode 1.
Everybody gets along after 6 episodes.
Basically, yeah. I mean, B'Elanna punches poor Buddy in the nose, and then by
the end of the episode, is head engineer.
Head of engineering. The Maquis come out really well from Voyager. They have the key positions to take over the ship if they wanted to.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Amazing. Your turn, Jonathan.
Oh, like, I thought it was odd that Ollie, right? Ollie.
Ensign Ollie.
I have a hard time believing that no one knew about that she had any powers. Like, that just seemed really, I mean, they know who she is, and it doesn't seem like it takes much for her to accidentally use them. So I have a hard time buying that after 6 ships, something hasn't occurred. Something hasn't been put in her record. They didn't make her come forth with stuff. Like, they didn't have a way to scan her or figure out
bioscanner. Yeah,
something.
I mean,
I have a hard time. Like, they would have her biology, and I mean, she would have had physicals and stuff like that. Maybe you can't find powers that way, but I don't know. Something about that just felt a little off. Like, it felt a little convenient.
Well, and the reason she keeps getting shipped from ship to ship is because things keep melting around her and like electrical problems keep happening. And
Yeah, no one
she's
thinks, oh,
apparently just taking the blame for it and just keeps telling people that she's breaking things and that she's clumsy, I think is what we're supposed to believe. But I would put some pieces together that the granddaughter of Zeus plus electrical problems means powers. Like, this isn't a
and I
coincidence.
think we know she's gonna have powers. So making that like a twist seems silly. Like
Yeah.
that she could have just like, I have a hard time controlling my powers. That's why I keep getting moved around. I mean, that would have made more sense.
Yeah,
but
I didn't
whatever.
even feel like a twist to me, and I think it was
No.
meant to be a bit of a twist. But I was like, yeah, no, I just assumed you had powers. Like, I didn't believe you when you said you didn't have powers.
She tells Mariner she doesn't. So
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm saying they were trying to make it like
No, I
a
agree.
twist or something.
I think it was supposed to be, but I never bought it.
No. Actually, both of the twists in this didn't really. They were both pretty obvious. The kidnap. I mean the missing.
Oh shit, we didn't even talk about the resolution to that.
Well, I mentioned it in the synopsis, but yes, we didn't talk about it again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what did you think about the eventual reveal that they're actually in love? That's a very Star Trek resolution. They're actually canoodling.
Yeah. So you had a cube and a sphere that were actually it was Romeo and Juliet, right? I mean, they were
Taylor's oldest
they were
daughter.
the Montagues and the Capulets. No, I just thought it was really obvious. Yeah, I mean, I knew right when they said that, because at first we just thought one was missing, and then the other person said, "Oh, and my son's missing or my daughter's missing." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well they're together." Like that's what's going on. I want to know how quickly they have kids, those species. Because like, were they like off
Pretty quick
on the ship having a kid?
They
Like,
were on the holodeck, they said. So
oh, okay.
I have so many questions about this. They managed to, they were hiding on a holodeck, having crazy rhomboid, orby sexual shenanigans. So apparently nobody could scan for them. Nobody could just like run an internal scan and find the orb and the cube. Nobody checks the holodecks and thought, everyone's on duty. Why is the holodeck running? But yeah, and then they apparently in a short amount of time, cross-species created a child. Yeah.
And didn't need a doctor or anything to deliver the baby.
I mean, I don't even think they need kids, to be honest. I thought energy beings were just energy everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, all of the sins about how energy beings are making kids. I had a silly sin, which was mini tractor beam tech. Hasn't come very far since Wesley made one in, I think it's season 1, The Naked Now.
Yeah, he makes episode 2 or something.
Yeah, I think it was
the first episode after the
Encounter at Farpoint. Yeah. Yep. He makes a portable tractor beam thing that works pretty well. And it just, we've only made it slightly smaller and it still doesn't work in the following 15 years. I'm disappointed by that, Jonathan.
He didn't get credit for that either because he was a kid. They
100%. Yeah, he would just sit in the corner and say, adults, and just be fine with someone else taking the credit for it. What a dick.
Well,
your turn.
He was hanging out with Ashley Judd. He was doing all right.
That's fair. She can take the credit. I bet she took the credit for it. That's going to have like Ashley Judd's. Was it Ensign Leffler? It's going to be mini tractor beams by Ensign Leffler.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Amazing. Your turn.
What else did I have? This was dumb, but I thought it was funny. The kid Squarion or whatever asked for juice, and I was like, how's that work?
Do you need to consume things? How do you know what juice is?
Like, you guys just eat like pizza and drink juice?
Yeah. And how do you know giving them juice was bad? It should be much harder to accidentally hyperspray yourself with a brand new anesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
It should nope. That he shouldn't be able to backflip and that accidentally happen and receive no consequences from it.
No, it's like he fell in that needle pit in Saw 2 or something.
Oh God! Thanks for the immediate shudder. She volunteered. Amanda voluntarily did that.
Yeah.
She's not even in the trap.
Well, she didn't want to get pushed.
No.
For the twist. I see. Overall, she volunteered.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
She did
exactly.
not, I thought you were saying she jumped into the thing. I was like, no, she was definitely thrown.
She was 100% thrown. Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, she did volunteer. But yeah, I can't think of. That's the only thing I think of when I think of needles now is that stupid scene.
100%.
Like,
yeah. It's great. It's crawling through. Anyway, but this is not the Saw podcast as much as I would love it to be. That's amazing. Anything else?
Do the gods have procedural shows that they watch? Like, because she knew how to do the bad cop thing.
She sure did.
And and then the Rutherford thing at the end, like, aren't him and Billups close? I thought that was weird that he's like, I've got to go impress Billups. Like, how have you not already impressed Billups? Like,
yeah, they're like besties. I guess it's like he's going to change tactics to try and impress him even more, but he should be going after somebody like Ransom or something like that. Somebody he's not familiar with.
Yeah, because him and Bill, because that one episode, he's just like, hey, can I get Pip back for doing that thing in the past? Sure, here you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean,
can I retroactively get promoted? Yeah, of course you can.
But I think that's just a problem with that B storyline. Like we said, it just didn't. Like they were kind of talk about forcing a square peg into a hole or whatever.
they were forcing a very mundane.
We have to have a B story, and sometimes it's just like, nah. I mean, it's okay. Like it's not. Well, I guess the actors do still get paid based on if they're in the episode because they're voice actors. But I don't know. It's like with animated, I think you could be a little more free with that kind of stuff. But you've
got so much that you can explore. So I think I get frustrated because there's so much you can explore, and we're recycling the same Boimler stuff. Like I want to see more with T'Lyn as an obvious example.
Or maybe have them. Maybe their subplot is they're searching for those kids that are missing. Something that makes sense. I mean, that just seemed like a weird sub. All of that seemed weird. Like it just didn't fit with anything.
Yeah, massively unconnected until a lightning bolt connects Boimler forcibly to it. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. I love that. I think Dr. T should be fired or at least put in the brig for incredibly assaulting an officer. Like,
oh yeah.
Absolutely, literally mauls him. Like, okay, she's probably like healing him and then scratching him up again and then healing him and then having another go. But there's definitely like some HR business that should be happening with Dr. Tana.
Oh, especially in this current, the way the Trek shows are now. I mean, if this was TOS, no. I mean, I would,
Oh, no. Yeah, Kirk would have kicked his ass himself. Yeah. That's just all part of the job. McCoy should have been sued so many times for harassment and just gets away with all of it because he's McCoy.
Yeah, for sure.
I've only got one more that I wanted to mention. Do you have anything else?
No, I just something stupid. I was gonna say book clubs equals reading. So.
Yeah, reading ding. It's definitely a sin, and you shouldn't be trying to get into them. This was just a throwaway line. Mariner grabs the pad and reads all of the information about Ensign Ollie, and Freeman says, like, she's trying to prove herself, and Freeman says, you just grabbed a pad from me and accessed information above your clearance level. And I was like, you let her do it. You let her read that. You could have, like, deactivated it, grabbed it back. Like, you let her grab it and then read it out as you're walking in the corridor. You're just as much to blame, Freeman. Once again.
Going off that, I will say, because we might mention this later when we talk to the chat, but there were a couple of people that mentioned when I was saying something about her working with her mom that Wesley was on the same ship with Crusher, but also and that you could argue that because he wasn't in the academy at the beginning and all that kind of stuff. But they did make the point that Freeman technically works for her husband. So, I don't know if he's not necessarily her direct superior, but they definitely, she has to go through him sometimes.
Yeah, they've definitely had to interact officially, but I don't think, I think there's ways that they get around that. But being on a ship is different to Captain and Admiral, I think. Like there's going to be some of that in Starfleet.
Like the public school system here, like a teacher, if you're a teacher and your kid goes to school with you can't have them in class.
No, like absolutely not.
If there's another option.
Yeah, that would be...
Depends on the age, but yeah.
That's got to be so unfair. Even like being in the same school as your parent is going to be... That I would try to hide. I understand changing my name.
God, I can't even... I wouldn't want to be in... I mean, I love my mom and dad, but I don't want them teaching me. No,
totally
not outside of the house.
Yeah, they taught me enough at home. Amazing. Well, interesting episode overall. This is a weird one because I think I talked myself out of liking it as we talked about it more, but I still overall had a good time with it. It still does what it needs to do.
I think it's really fun. The A storyline is really fun because the references and just the writing's good. And I mean, it's just, I think the B story drags it down a little bit. So I think that's why it's only like 3 pips as opposed to like 3.5 or whatever.
I agree. It's not one I can see myself coming back to rewatch. And that tends to be my last, like...
Well, and it doesn't really factor into anything. Like it's not you can skip it and you're not going to miss anything. So
Yeah, no, I think
and it's
so.
coming off an episode where it felt like they were going to start leaning into the what's going on. But
Yeah, I kind of thought the back half of the season was going to be way more into that, and maybe it will. But again, there's part of
it's
me
just
that's
4
like
episodes.
still happy it's staying episodic as well. But yeah,
I know now I got to watch. I have to wait a week to watch the next episode. I don't know what I'm going to
you're
do.
going to be so confused now, like
I know.
on a lower decks withdrawal.
I'm going to feel like a normal person.
No, not even close. That's not possible. I appreciate you, Jonathan. Love that you caught up with a lot of
Absolutely,
lower
man.
decks to come and talk to us this week.
Anytime.
Next week, the ambassador, fingers crossed, if our away mission to rescue the Borg from the ambassador is successful, she will be back on the ship.
And there's no more beagles.
Exactly. And next week, the episode will be Lower Deck Season 5, Episode 7, Fully Dilated. Any predictions, Jonathan, even though you won't be here to talk about it?
Fully dilated. That actually, it's interesting because that happens to Boimler when he gets hit with the noxious gas or whatever in this episode, or whatever
yeah,
that is.
his eyes do, yeah.
I have no idea. I'm trying to go off that title, but I can't think of anything.
When I heard fully dilated, I didn't think pupils. I assumed babies. So I think this might be like a reference to getting pregnant in space stuff. You know how like Trip ends up with arm nipples and accidentally gets
unfortunately, yes.
Remember all of that?
Remember that.
I think someone on the ship is going to get accidentally pregnanted, and they're gonna talk about that.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe maybe it'll be the doc. Maybe Shax will get the doctor pregnant.
Oh, that would be perfect, wouldn't it? She's been hiding. A pregnancy episode with the doctor. Oh, wait. We've actually had a cat pregnancy episode with Spot, who we thought was a male cat, but ended up being a female cat in Genesis when Spot had kittens that turned into lizards.
Didn't Spiner hated that cat, right? When that
it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me.
She was a diva.
I mean, there was multiple Spots. That cat kept changing.
That's true.
Which is not surprising.
Maybe it was just one of them then.
He liked all of them. There was one specific Spot that he didn't get on with. Oh boy. With that, thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to send us any messages, email us captainspod@cinemasins.com with any predictions or anything you want to send us that can be put into the form of words or pictures, actually. Join our lovely CinemaSins Discord and join our lovely Star Trek community, discord.gg/CinemaSins. And until next week, I'm Captain Ian, and I know I shit the bed, but I deserve a chance to change the sheets.
It's just a bigger orb and a bigger cube. They're not creative at all.
Live long and Podsper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
The strange thing for me is that big glowing cube is in the trailer, and I was like, oh, of course, because it's a cube, I assumed the Borg, and I'm like, this is some crazy
because they haven't really
Borg.
had the Borg, right?
No, other than like there have been hologram Borgs, but there hasn't been like real Borg. Other than the Borg ship battle in the opening credits.
Yeah, that's never been a thing.
Which has never been a thing. Man, that might be another good prediction that we actually see that battle happen in episode 10.
But I don't think the Borg don't really make a lot of sense on this series, though. Like,
I mean, that hasn't stopped Star Trek in the past from bringing the Borg into a finale.
No,
but
I'm just
you're
saying,
right. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, I feel like, they can make light of it, I guess, but I don't. The Borg just feels a lot darker.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like if you bring it in, you're gonna rather than raising up the pack lids, you'd be bringing down the Borg. So yeah, I think you got to be careful with who it is.
I wonder though if people that come to Lower Decks, not like Lower Decks, if that was your first Star Trek series, I would be really curious what those people think.
I don't know that it. I mean, I guess it can. Like, I guess if you don't know what you're missing, then it's fine.
I guess.
But at some point, you've got to know you're missing like some pretty crazy references.
I guess it's just hard when I think about it. Like, I enjoy it, but it's hard for me to give it like an overall idea because I don't know what it's like not knowing the thing. So I don't know if it's a really good show and that stuff is just a bonus, or if that's why I like it. Like, it's kind of hard for me to figure out, but that's semantics. Whatever, I enjoy it.
Either way, I think it's built for Trek fans. It really is. So I think the whole 5 seasons, whole 4.5 have done that. have done that so
It'd be
well.
like
It's such a
diving into
gift.
Wes Anderson with like his last film. Like that's your first Wes Anderson film.
Yeah,
you know?
I
It's
think
like
that would be.
you can't do that.
He
No,
said,
you got to
don't,
go back.
please. You won't understand that he doesn't make movies like everyone else. Stop it.
The fact that that guy behind the ship ended up being
Nick Locarno.
I know, and that was crazy. Like I'm wondering anybody who's watching that who had like never seen or just didn't remember that, you know. I guess they explain it though pretty quickly.
Yeah,
So I mean, I guess
do. I mean, but it's one episode of TNG. That's it.
Yeah, and it's like it wasn't like a real mystery because we never saw. I mean, we would never have guessed that was him. We had no reason.
Not in a million years.
Isn't Boimler's duplicate? Isn't he still alive technically? Like, didn't we find out he was actually like wasn't there like I think in season 3, like we found out that they had faked his death or something. So I thought it was going to be him.
Yeah, I think they thought he died, but I don't know if they confirmed it. But I think he went to Section 31. I can't remember if that's a rumor or actually happened.
No, they showed that scene. It was like in season 3. Got it? Because I've watched all these in the last few days.
Yes,
but because he made the comment about why do we have a black combat?
Oh, that's it.
Secret. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be wild if he turned up in the Section 31 movie that's coming out in January?
I wonder. Yeah, maybe that's
Jack
what they're
Quaid
gonna
pops
do.
up in that. It would be incredible.
Yeah.
I would love that. That would be great.
Maybe that's what they're going to do because it seems like they've forgotten about it on the show.
Right.
Jonathan Frakes has done a lot of directing.
Yeah, he chose to like pivot hard into directing.
Oh
that's
yeah,
for sure.
but a lot of them do that. Robert Duncan McNeil still directs television.
Mhm.
Roxanne Biggs Dawson or
Yeah.
whatever her name. I think she has a different. I don't think she's married anymore. Not married to that person. So whatever her name is now.
Did she get married to the Cardassian guy?
I don't think. I don't know. I have no
maybe
idea.
not. I'm probably making that up.
You could be right. I have no idea. I just know I'm pretty sure she was Roxanne Biggs Dawson, and then when she was on the show, and then I think at some point she was just Roxanne Biggs. Like by the end of the
Because
series,
I think it's Casey.
I could be wrong.
Casey
about
Biggs
that, but-
plays Damar in Deep Space Nine. Who?
Oh no, I think Biggs is her maiden name.
Oh.
I think because wasn't it Roxanne Biggs Dawson or was it Roxanne Dawson Biggs?
No, I'm right. She was.
Oh, okay. So I had it
so-
backwards. I had it backwards.
I don't know what her maiden name is, but she was Roxanne Dawson when she got married in 1994. Wait, no, I'm really confused now. Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, Roxanne Dawson was Roxanne Biggs because she was married to Casey Biggs.
Oh, Damar. Okay.
Damar from
Yeah, I love
1985 to 1987. So that's before Deep Space Nine.
That's wild.
So B'Elanna and Damar were married before Voyager and Deep Space Nine.
Well, and Damar wasn't even like on the show till the end, really.
Yeah, his
but
arc was like season
he's a
6,
super
season 7.
character. I like he was alcoholic, right? Like he was
Massive alcoholic, and then kind of had a bit of redemption towards the end. He has a wild arc. So yeah, that's why she was Roxanne Biggs and then Roxanne Dawson. But I don't know what her maiden
maybe
name
she
was.
married a Dawson, or maybe she went back to her maiden
No, she
name. I
did.
don't
She
know.
married a Dawson.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. She married a Dawson. Good for her.
So her maiden name was Cabarello, and then became Biggs, then became Dawson.
That's
That's
true.
awesome. Man, I don't think anything unites people like TNG. I can't think of any other iteration of Star Trek.
I mean, I would. I mean, the original series, I guess, especially when it was on, like when it first aired, I guess that was kind of But yeah, I know what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty wholesome. I think I am probably thinking like talking about it today because there's certain bits of like TOS, although it started it all, it hasn't aged.
No, I know what
well.
you're saying because I know people that dislike Deep Space Nine, dislike Voyager, love Voyager, love Deep Space
my
Nine,
goodness,
Enterprise. But like TNG, I mean, maybe there's people that don't love it, but I've rarely heard somebody say like, I've definitely never heard anybody say this is my least favorite.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Wonder if any of these new series are going to even, register in that way. Maybe Starfleet Academy, maybe.
I
don't know,
hope so.
but, I'm really excited about that one. So
yeah, I really am. I mean, just with the cast, Strange New Worlds, I think is the one that's going to age the best in the future.
Probably.
I think that's going to be looked back on with a lot of love. I think DS9 could take Discovery could take 10 to 15 years until somebody rewatches it and it's like, you know what? It wasn't so bad. Like it has some like big swings that you've got to respect.
I think the problem with Discovery for me is that first season is rough.
It's
In my
weird.
opinion.
Yeah. I think
And maybe I'll go back and rewatch it sometime if I do, and maybe I'll like it more. But I had a really hard time with that first season. And
I think I was so starved for TV Trek.
That lasted for a few episodes for me. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, that carried me and just how good what's his name, Captain Lorca, sorry, I can't remember the actor's name, plays Malfoy's dad, the evil captain in Discovery.
Oh God, if you hadn't asked me, I would have known.
Yeah, of course.
Jason Isaacs,
that's it.
Yeah.
He carried me through season 1. He was so
great.
good.
He was great.
He's incredible.
The reveal though felt a little obvious by the time they did it. Like I feel like that reveal should have happened earlier, because I'm like, of course he's the
evil. Like, we were so convinced he was evil, we assumed that couldn't be the twist. This guy was not a good man. We knew that. Paulie in the chat said this is quite fully dilated could be a reference to the rifts that are opening.
Yeah,
because you have a fully dilated rift. That wouldn't surprise me. It would be weird if they resolved the rifts 3 episodes before the finale. That would be interesting. Again,
I would think they usually do like the second to last episode, right? Isn't that usually when they...
Usually 9 and 10 are the ones where you get some kind of resolution. I'll be interested to see how it changes, knowing that season 5 has some wrap-up work to do. I mean, what I definitely don't need is Worf and Deanna getting together.
No.
So I hope we don't have a random... I watched Parallels a couple of weeks ago because I was wondering if Parallels might tie in to this with like the alternate universes and whatnot. And that's when they introduced that in one reality, Worf and Deanna are married. And I'm just like, it's just
I like that episode, by the way. But I
love that episode so much. But it was such an odd pairing. It didn't feel quite right.
Agree.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Dax made a lot more sense.
Yeah, completely agree. This is a good point. Voyager should have been nothing but couples by the end, right? Like, you need a generational ship. Unless you know you're getting home in 7 years, you got to start having babies.
I wanted Kim and Seven, though. I hated the Seven and Chakotay. I mean, if they were going to do anything, I thought Wong and I thought they played off each other really well.
Yeah, I think that would have made so much more sense because they're both very inexperienced people.
You hate Tom and B'Elanna?
I don't hate Tom and B'Elanna. I think they're in a very toxic relationship. I don't think they're good together. Like, that relationship is nothing but like fight.
It's been a while,
it's like
I can see that.
It feels like all of the Tom and B'Elanna episodes feel like Friends.
Yes.
But Chakotay and Seven was definitely worse. 100%. The only thing worse than Chakotay and Seven, and I'm going to say it, is Janeway and Chakotay. That should not... There are people still saying they should have got together. It's a no.
Oh, no.
No,
that wouldn't have made any sense.
It's just weird. Weird. Each week we tend to do Moopsie. Do you remember Moopsie? Was that one of the episodes you caught yesterday?
Yep. Moopsie. I love that episode.
I that might be my number 1, number 2 episode. It's definitely top 5.
It's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there. I do love that Voyager episode, but Moopsie's
so
great. Sucks the juice out of the bones.
Sucks the bones out of everyone, so that's why we have
Moopsie.
Moopsie versus the Cubes and Spheres. I think this time the Cubes and Spheres win purely because they do not have bones and yet they must flee.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the winner for that one. Wandering Winder says, Dag Nabbit, this whole episode is very much similar to the plot of that Wesley Tractor-Beam episode in some ways, although this is much better. Naked Now?
I'll give it that. This is better than Naked Now.
Yeah, I can see some comparisons there.
Naked Now, Naked Now was one when it came out, like I thought it was fun, but as an adult, like having seen it several times, I probably just watched it too many times because it's not great. But just that first season's not very good.
It's a little bit cringy.
It is what it is.
I mean, there's a moment that gets me every damn time, and it's Brent Spiner when Data's completely smashed, and he goes to lean, and the way he holds that lean and just hits the deck. Mm-hmm. Is hilarious. It's such a great bit of physical comedy.
One of my best friends who were both Star Trek people, we grew up watching it together. We always did the Picard laugh when he's talking to Crusher. He's like, so funny. Yeah. Oh God, it's so funny.
So good.
But my wife, funny story, my wife's like, she always, like, at the beginning of the week, she's like, so what all you got going on this week? Because we sometimes have to figure out stuff with, like, picking up our daughter and stuff. I was like, well, this week I mostly just have to watch, like, 3 seasons of Star Trek. She's like, you have the weirdest job. I was like, I do.
So weird. It is. That reminds me, I recently watched all of the Halloween movies. Like,
yeah, you did.
Start to finish, I decided to tick them all off.
That was fun because you were commenting.
It was so fun to binge them all in one. Literally, I got through them all over the course of a week, and then I'd like report in on like the work Slack and just be like, "This is what I thought." And it was so fun to talk to you, Jonathan, about them because you have such a great like knowledge of the Halloween movies. And Jeremy chimes in when I get to like the 6th movie, and he's like, "I had no idea we were sinning these," and I was like, "No,
Oh, yeah.
no, I'm not sinning.
What?
I'm not." I mean, we
Then
have.
I get surprised. Like, he talks about ones he's seen. I'm like, you've seen these?
Yeah,
like,
he
I don't
had
even
an
expect
opinion
Jeremy to
on
have watched them.
the second Rob Zombie one, I think, or both the Rob Zombie ones. He had an opinion.
The only ones we haven't seen now, we haven't seen Curse of Michael Myers, which is part 6, because we have sent H2O. We haven't sent Resurrection.
Correct.
And I don't think we've sent Rob Zombie's H2. I don't think. We've seen the first one, but I don't think we've sent.
Yeah, we haven't done the second. We haven't done the H2O sequel, and we haven't done the Rob Zombie sequel, and we haven't done
6.
Halloween 6. So there's 3 left to do.
Yeah,
But
because we did all the David Gordon Green ones.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jeremy was like, "I can't believe you're watching all of these and you're not writing on them." And I'm like, "Shut up! I'm doing it because I'm a completionist. Next year will be Friday the 13th. Okay, I'm just gonna get through all of the franchises."
That's fun, man.
Yeah, that's what I've decided to do next year. I'm gonna get through Friday the 13th.
That is probably the most consistently just goofy.
And one final message. This is a solid reminder. Next week's live show is Saturday, not Friday. We're still going to nail down the exact time. It'll be 12:30 with plus or minus an hour. It'll be something like that.
Because Friday, the day after Thanksgiving or whatever.
Yeah, Thursday is Thanksgiving for you American people. Friday, day of recovery from Thanksgiving. So yeah, we're going to do it on Saturday instead, but we will still have a live show. So keep
working
an eye
on Saturday for the fans.
That's it. That's how much we love you guys. And Lower Decks, to be honest. But yeah, I'll update this in StreamYard, so you'll see it in if you go to the CSPN live channel on YouTube, you'll see when the next stream is going to go live, and I'll update it in Discord as well when I know more.
I just hope you're right about it being Nagilum.
I will be the happiest man if it ends up being Nagilum. It would be the biggest pull in the world. I love it.
I think I'm going to be disappointed. It's not now.
Anything that isn't Nagilum will be a disappointment. Yeah. I love it.
Like and God, think about like 20 years ago, I definitely would have never said, God, I'm going to really want to bring back Nagilum.
Yes, I'm going to be crying out for this to be the season finale to another show, the return of Nagilum.